So the Splatoon 1 servers are about to shut down. Heck, depending on when this video goes up, they might even already be down. And I would have liked to go back to the game one more time, but due to certain factors, such as not actively being able to get direct capture footage of gameplay right now, along with my Wii U probably being buried in a hill of dust and maybe no longer working right now, this brief memorial video will have to do. If you've followed my content for any amount of time, you'll know that Splatoon was a pretty big part of how I started in the first place. My first video was a meme about the game. Pretty much all of my biggest videos are connected to Splatoon, and it's one of, if not my favorite gaming series. And of course, that started with the first game. In order to celebrate this game, I wanted to briefly go over my story with how I initially became acquainted with the series, and some of my favorite memories with Splatoon 1. Let's take a trip down my personal memory lane. Before the game came out, I was not really at all someone who would play shooters very often. The only shooter that really interested me in any form beforehand was Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, and even then, I didn't play it too much for the most part. That was more so a game and series that my sisters enjoyed. But anyways, as Splatoon 1 came closer to its initial release, I started to see advertising for the game while watching kids' channels on TV. I hadn't outgrown those quite yet. That of course includes the iconic and or infamous "You're a kid now, you're a squid now" commercial, which has immortalized itself into community lore since, for better or worse. Even after that definitely convincing advertising though, I still wasn't really sold, and since my birthday had just passed, my initial plan for a Christmas game that year was still Mario Maker. That was until I started seeing more content of the game, such as funny moments videos, most notably the hide and seek videos that were massive back in the day, the 2015 Nintendo World Championships using Splatoon for the first round of the event, and of course, the Octavio boss fight. Come time for Black Friday that year, I had the tough choice between Mario Maker and Splatoon, and with those in mind, I ended up making the difficult choice of picking Splatoon. I do not exaggerate when I say that was one of the most impactful decisions I've made in my life. I honestly don't know if I would have fallen in love with the series the same way if I had waited until May of 2016 to get the game. And with as little disrespect to Mario Maker 1 as possible, because it's also a great game in its own right, I know I made the right decision. Although it took me a couple months to fully get into the game, once I did, I was hooked. I played this game just about every day for the next year and a half, while waiting for Christmas to come for me to get a Switch. I definitely wasn't the hardcore, quote-unquote, player I am now. I only played Turf War in the first game, but I still look back on a lot of those memories fondly today, and it's where I found my first ever main, the NZAP 89. It had an ink strike, maybe not the best special. I mean, there was stuff like Kraken and Bo were running around that just turned a fight into an automatic win for the person who clicked the right stick, but 12-year-old me didn't care. He saw a special that gave you paint just by tapping the gamepad, and was like, this is OP! This is also before I developed the burning hatred I have for Splatfest now, so I still have fun participating in those events. I was not yet aware of the better modes that awaited me in ranked battles. I especially really remember the SpongeBob vs Patrick, Early Bird vs Night Owl, and of course, the Callie vs Marie Splatfest in particular. The last of which having effects on the community that still hasn't recovered from to this day, and that the devs haven't learned from. Lastly, we also have one of the greatest things in this game, and it's a travesty that hasn't come back to this day. Squid Jump. Is Splatoon 1 anywhere near a perfect game? No, of course not. There are a lot of problems with this game, such as a hero mode that you could tell was a work in progress, no chunks, meaning you have to win the lottery to get optimal gear, hilariously unbalanced weapons, a meta that ended up revolving around weapons that synergized well with quick respawn and stealth jump, along with invincibility specials. I'm sure there's more that I'm forgetting. But of course, not everything was going to be perfect on the first attempt. For what it's worth, this game's flaws are in part what endeared it to a lot of the series' longtime fans. This game's imperfections were what allowed for future progression of the series to what we have today, which has its own flaws, but I don't think you can really argue it's not an improvement from where we started. On top of being the beginning of me getting into a new series, it showed a light at the end of the tunnel for Nintendo fans in the darkness of the Wii U era. It feels to me like Splatoon was the first remnants of a new Nintendo that was built to succeed in the Switch era. That decision I made 8.5 years ago has greatly changed my life. I really don't know what would have happened in the alternate universe in which I never got into the series. So, it's with this that I say my farewell to Splatoon 1, and thank you to anyone involved with the series back then, or to this day, for making a game that has genuinely impacted mine and countless other lives forever, for better and worse. Thanks for watching, and stay fresh.